Hello, welcome to Dry Creek Beekeeping. So, I hate to start off on a bad note, but something is happening with my hives. And no matter what the scenario is, it's not good. When I came down here, I always look at my hives before I start recording. And that's what I did today, except I noticed something was off. It's very quiet. I have not seen a single bee enter or leave my hives. Now, this could be for two reasons. Either one, they are entering hibernation, which makes sense since we had our first below freezing day just a couple of days ago. But the second option isn't as good. If you remember the robber bees that we first noticed last week, there's a chance that my hives could have collapsed. So I really need to figure this out. And like I said, no matter what, it's not a good option. Because even if it is just hibernation, that means I was too slow on the draw. I don't have the tent set up yet. And there's not that many days that I can beekeep left. In fact, according to the forecast, I only have about a week and a half, and I still have to move these hives into the tent, and I can't do that if it's cold. So with that, let's figure out what's wrong with these hives. So as you can see, there is only one bee here, and it is dead. So I just need to get into this hive and see if there's any actually in there. And I don't really hear any noises coming from the hive either. Now, this is the alpha hive. And 2 videos ago, Alright, there's no bees in the air cover. But like I was saying, 2 weeks ago, I put a varroamite strip in. So I'm going to need to replace that with the second strip this week as well. Now, I do see bees in there, but they're moving very lethargically, which is another sign of them hibernating. Yep, there they all are. Look at how slow they're moving. They aren't even buzzing at me that much. Well, I can remove this now at least. Well, the good news is they are alive, and their numbers seem to be about the same as they were the last time that I checked on them. I just don't like the fact that they're going into hibernation. Alright, and here is the second strip here. I'm just kind of going to set that there for now. I would like to take a look at 1 or 2 of these frames. But before I take a look at any of those frames, I can see, I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick this up, but on this inner cover here, there is some condensation building up, and that is not what I want to see, because that means they are having ventilation issues. Now, it's not bad, which could just mean that there's extra condensation from them breathing and from the honey stores, but still, that's not a risk that I'm willing to take, which means that I need to get them moved into the tent as soon as possible. Yeah, I figured that this might happen. They've glued in these frames so well that it's actually breaking the frames and the hive before I can actually get them out. Yeah, there's no chance that I'm actually going to be able to get these out. I don't know if you can see that, but when I try to get this out, it is bending the edges of my hive. And now I can break them apart from the other frames, sure, but it's still glued underneath the frame with such power that it's not wanting to come out. And the last thing I want to do before winter is actually break my hive. So I'm just going to have to take a look down between these frames here, see what I can see, and maybe I'll try a little bit more to get one of these frames out. Alright, got one of the frames out, finally. So it looks like they have brood still being made. This is probably their last batch. I don't see any more eggs in there. But they have pretty good stores for this being on an outer frame. So I'd give them a pretty decent shot at surviving the winter with these stores. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. My previous 2 hives died from ventilation issues and also issues with having too much water in the hive. So I'm taking every possible precaution against them dying, which means that I cannot take risks, no matter how small they may be. And one of these risks would be putting a frame feeder in, which I've always done, but I mean, they will be fine without a frame feeder. It's just a matter of I can't have that frame feeder being in the hive because it'll introduce moisture that is unnecessary into the hive, which will cause problems. And I really, really want this hive to survive the winter because they did amazing this year and they are such a gentle colony. I don't want to lose them. So to recap, today I noticed that the hives have gone into hibernation. Not fully yet. The way beehives work is they never fully go into hibernation. They just go into a slower state. So as you can see, those bees are still in there doing everything. It's just that they're doing it much slower. The good news is they haven't gone into the bee ball yet. That's when it starts getting deeper into winter, they will form a ball around the queen. And the ones on the edge will slowly die off. And if everything goes well, you'll be left with a cluster of bees in your hive by the time it comes to spring. And from there, your hive will restart. But even in that bee ball, they still haven't gone fully into hibernation. They are still cycling throughout with the bees on the outside of the bee ball going out, collecting honey, bringing it in, and feeding it to the queen. Also, a little fun fact is that during the entirety of the winter, the bees will not poop. Meaning that when it comes spring, if you have your bees in a tent, or if you go to check on them and they haven't gone out and they start flying around, you and your tent will be covered in bee poop. I've actually had that happen to me before. And bee poop does not come out of clothing. Anyway, I also put the second varroa mite strip into my alpha hive, and I have just about a week and a half now before I can no longer do beehive inspections. Well, that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments about beekeeping, please be sure to put them in comments. Please be sure to put them in the comments. See ya.